Hello everybody, my name is Bo, and today I want to learn with AI. ChatGPT and other generative AI has been very hot in the news lately, and it got me interested too. My goal for this series is something like this.
Dirt or earth? Earth. Define earth. Earth. The surface of the world is distinct from the sky or sea. Wow. Define sea. Sea. An expansive solid.
To give a brief background about myself, I used to be an Android developer at Facebook, now called Meta, and the primary language I used was Java, which I self-taught. I want to learn Kotlin now because that is the recommended language for Android development. And I want to try something different. I want to use ChatGPT to help me learn. I used to read documentation or Stack Overflow for all my questions, and for this series, I want to try replacing that with ChatGPT and see how it goes. Also, you as the audience hopefully can learn something as you watch me learn Kotlin using ChatGPT, and maybe it will inspire you to try learning something new with ChatGPT. Let's start. I love learning with a live example, and let's just start with a simple WebView app in Kotlin. We're going to type this into ChatGPT, Kotlin code for displaying a web view, and see what we get. It looks like ChatGPT understood and gave us a boilerplate web view implementation, a very simple application, of course. But incredibly, it also described what the code does. For example, the find view ID. We're going to create a sample Android application in Kotlin. In this case, we have just one main activity with a drawer, and this is a good starting point for us to investigate what Kotlin is doing. The first thing I noticed is that the activity main.xml layout that I'm closing right now, that is not specified anywhere in my Android code. So I'm wondering how exactly is Kotlin figuring out where to load my activity main. So I search around and I noticed there's something called a binding. I don't really know what this is, but it looks like it's important because it's involved in inflating the layout infader with the activity main binding. Let's ask ChatGPT and see what we get. We're going to go back to ChatGPT and we're going to ask where exactly is Kotlin finding the activity main.xml? Or in other words, where's the setContentView method? However, this was the first time I've used ChatGPT, and this is where I learned that the way you ask a question is super important. I asked where is setContentView method in the main activity, and ChatGPT told me it's supposed to be in the onCreate, but as we know, it was not there. We didn't find this, and I realized my mistake. I need to see, or I need to ask differently. I said, in my class, I don't see it, and all I see is a binding. This was a better way of asking because ChatGPT was able to give me a better answer. This time, we see something that we recognize. We see the binding, and we see the setContentView, quote, binding.root. I remember seeing that in my Kotlin class, so we're on the right track. But I'm still confused. How exactly do we know that the binding is correctly binding the activity main.xml? If you recall, there were many layout XMLs in the class. And in Java, it's very clear cut. In Java, you will see setContentView parentheses activity underscore main.xml. But here you see binding.root. So how exactly do we know that the binding is binding it correctly to the right XML file? Let's ask. I'm going to ask ChatGPT again, how does activity know what to bind activity main.xml instead of some other layout file? And this time we finally get an answer that makes sense. So the way it works is this. In Kotlin, there's a feature called view binding. And what it does is that it takes your layout class, aka activity main, and it automatically creates a activity main binding Kotlin class. It's auto-generated, and in it, it will have all your fields like text views or web view in our case. And wow, that's very awesome. It took me 3 tries to get the answer out of ChatGPT. Talking about web view, I actually forgot how to do a web view. Let's ask ChatGPT. So we go back to our previous question regarding the web view, and we ask ChatGPT, what is the XML code for this? And ChatGPT smartly gives me a very simple web view. Great, I can just straight up pull this out and use it for myself. I am going to speed up this next part. It just shows me copy pasting the code into the home fragment, not the activity main that we've been talking about. And this is really an Android thing, not really in the scope of this series, which I want to focus on using ChatGPT to help me learn Kotlin. But if you are interested in how to set up Android Studio with the SDK, how to set up the emulator, do let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to make a separate series or just answer your question directly. After changing the code in the fragment home.xml, of course we're going to generate errors in the home fragment.kotlin file. This is because we removed what was originally there, which was a text view. And this makes sense. We have to change this into a web view. That's what we have replaced it with. Change some of the namings and even the binding, because the automated generated binding will now contain the web view. Great, do that and change some other stuff. I noticed something I don't recognize. I saw this string question mark. So I want to ask ChatGPT, hey, what does the string question mark do in Kotlin? And this is a very simple explanation. It just tells you that it indicates that that value can be null. Okay, interesting. I feel this is something ChatGPT will be really good for. These little syntactical quick questions that you ask, such as this question mark for nullable. Of course, you could have gotten this from the documentation as well, but it was very fast with ChatGPT. I feel faster. Anyways, let's go back. I think we're ready now. Let's run it and see what happens. In theory, we should see Google, but no, what do we get? We got an error. Oh no. This is great though. This is exactly what I wanted to try next, which is debugging with ChatGPT. There wasn't any logcat errors. The error is simply in the web view, and it says error cache miss. What does that mean? Let's ask ChatGPT. Normally, without ChatGPT, I would have put that onto Stack Overflow, and I actually did. And I got a lot of responses, but some of them were from like 2016. I don't even know if they apply anymore. And to be honest, I was not able to figure out the answer to this from Stack Overflow in a very quick search. So let's look at what ChatGPT tells us. It's actually giving us quite a few different possibilities to fix. I ended up trying all 4 of these methods for a fix, and none of them actually did anything. So I said to ChatGPT, I tried these and I still got that same error. Is there anything else that I really need to do? ChatGPT was able to give me even more things to try, but they still didn't work. And it was at this point I remembered the way I asked the question is very important. Maybe I'm asking it not in the correct way. Let's instead ask, what are the possible reasons that a web view would not display correctly in an Android? And this gave me a whole different set of answers. I was once again struck by how wording the question is so important, and it gave me the realization that AI, even if it exists, in order to make it do what you want, you still have to communicate it, just like how you would need to communicate clearly with a fellow coworker to get help. Anyways, the number 2, missing internet permission. That one, because of my Android experience, that one jumped out at me. The other ones I've pretty much already tried as well, and I immediately think that is the culprit for our bug. Now I know how to add this permission already from previous experience, but let's just ask ChatGPT to do it for us, because it might be different in Kotlin. So I asked ChatGPT, give me the manifest code for this internet permission. And sure, ChatGPT was able to do it. And it is the same because the manifest is not in Java or Kotlin, it's in XML. So it should be the same. Let's copy over this permissions XML line of code, put it in our manifest right above the application, and let's rerun it, see what we get. Yay, it looks like it worked. We have an activity. The other drawer items are blank, but the first home drawer fragment is google.com, and you could use it like so. There we go. We've completely created a simple web view application using Kotlin and with the help of ChatGPT. That concludes it, everybody. Please let me know in the comments how you liked this first episode, what you want to see, maybe more details or more high levels, and I will do my best to accommodate everybody. Drop a like, a sub if you find this entertaining or educational, and have a great day. Bye.